Hello class 9. In our last classes we have finished off with our two chapters, flower and pollination and fertilization. I hope you have gone through the chapters and I hope there are no problems over there. Now I'm today starting with the next chapter because I want the continuation so that it will be better for you to understand the chapters. So I'm going to the next chapter, that is seeds. Now, in the last class, I have said you that what was the fate of the ovary, the ovule, the ovary wall, and I have said you that the ovary forms the fruit and the ovule forms the seed. Now, we'll get to know elaborately about these two things. First, we want to know what is fruit. Now, fruit is the enlarged, ripened ovary, the ovarian wall forming the fruit wall enclosing the seed. The fruit protects the seed and helps in seed dispersal. Now, we all know what is a fruit and we all eat fruit, so we know it very well that maybe not all the fruits contain seeds, but there are many fruits that contain seeds and the seeds are protected by the fruit wall. And we must remember that ovary after maturation forms the fruit when it becomes ripened, and the ovary wall becomes the fruit wall. Seed is the ripened ovule. It contains embryo which develops into a new plant. The seed coat protects the embryo from mechanical damage. Example, bean seed, peas, and there are many seeds also. Now, so ripened ovule is the seed, and the main part of the seed is the embryo. Why? Because it helps in the development of a new tiny plant from it. And there is a coating over the seed which we call as seed coat that protects the embryo from the mechanical shocks and damages. Clear? So this is the function of seed coat. You can write the answer then if it comes in your short questions. Now, we have also heard about grains. Now, what is a grain? It is actually the fruit in which the fruit wall and the seed coat are fused together to form a protective layer, because there must be some difference between a fruit and a grain and also between a seed and a grain. Because when we see a grain, it almost looks like a seed, right? A tough, hard structure. But it is actually the fruit in which the fruit wall and the seed coat are fused together and it cannot be separated. Right? Example, maize, wheat, rice, these are all grain. Clear? Now, seed is a mature ovule, just now we have read, after fertilization process. It contains a tiny living plant, the embryo. The embryo remains in an inactive state until exposed to favorable conditions when it germinates. Now, what are these favorable conditions? Obviously, water, proper temperature, proper soil nutrients, proper oxygen quantity. Okay. The seed also contains food material for the nourishment of the embryo during germination. The embryo can withstand unfavorable conditions of temperature, drought, etc. Because embryo, it remains in an inactive state. So what happens? It can withstand a lot of unfavorable conditions. It can only become active when it is getting the proper things, proper conditions for germinating. Clear? Now, you must know the classification of seeds. Broadly, we can divide the seeds into two types, monocotyledonous and dicotyledonous. Mono means one, that means which has got only one cotyledon. We can also call the cotyledons as seed leaves. Example, maize. Very well known to us, maize grain. We have seen it is only one cotyledon. Dicotyledonous means two. Di means two. Example, pea, gram, bean. So we have dicots more than the monocots around us. Now it may also vary in size. Some are small, some are quite large, and the largest seeds are those of coconut and double coconut. You must remember this as an example for your exams. Okay? Now, on the basis of endosperm, seeds are classified as albuminous, exalbuminous, or you can say endospermic, non-endospermic. Now, endosperm is the area which is actually containing the food materials, right? Now, within the seeds. Now, those seeds which has this endosperm in them, they are endospermic. They are very thin and membranous, and endosperm persists. Now, dicot albuminous, example, poppy, custard apple. Monocot albuminous, cereals, millets, palm. Two examples for each you have to remember. Exalbuminous means there are no endosperms are there. In such seeds, the cotyledon stores food and becomes thick and fleshy. That means those which are non-endospermic, because there are no other area for storing the food, so there the cotyledons themselves stores the food and they're becoming very thick and fleshy. Dicot exalbuminous, gram, pea, mango, mustard, any two of them you will remember. And monocot exalbuminous, Vallisneria, orchids, amorphophallus. Now this Vallisneria and amorphophallus are scientific names. So please, when you will write in your exam, you will start with a capital letter and you have to underline it. Okay. Now we'll go to an elaborate discussion on the bean seed and on the maize grain. Okay. Now bean seed, as we all know, they are dicotyledonous seed, and most are kidney shaped with a convex and a concave side. Now how is it? We'll show the picture. Now see the picture. In this picture, I hope you can see very well that one side is concave and another side is convex. Okay, bulging outward and bulging inward. Right. Now, seed coat, we also call it as testa, is the outermost hard brownish covering. Outermost hard brownish covering. We can see this in our figure. Right. The outer one is testa. I hope you can see it from this figure very well. The outer hard covering is the testa, and it is brownish. It protects the delicate inner parts of the seed from injury and from any kind of attacks of bacteria, fungi, insects. Okay. Another one is tegmen. See in this diagram, this is the tegmen. Tegmen is the inner thin layer lying next to the testa. As you can see, it's a double layered structure, and this is also protective in nature. Hilum. Hilum is a distinct whitish oval scar. I hope you can see the hilum over here. On the concave side of the seed, it represents the spot where the ovule was attached to the ovary wall through placenta. So this is, is a kind of definition of hilum. Please mark it. It represents the spot where the ovule was attached to the ovary wall through placenta. I hope from the picture, hilum location is very clear to you. Next is micropyle. This one is micropyle. It's a very tiny pore situated close to the hilum. It marks the opening through which the pollen tube had entered the ovule. We have learnt it in our last chapter. This micropyle has got two functions. One is, when soaked in water, the seeds absorb this water through this micropyle and make it available to the embryo for germination. That means water absorption is one of the functions. Another function is it provides for the diffusion of respiratory gases for the growing embryo. So this is another function, that it provides for the diffusion of respiratory gases. It helps in diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide for the growing embryo. So these are the two main functions which has been served by micropyle. Clear? Below the seed coat are the two thick cotyledons which contain food for the embryo and protect it. Here you can see the cotyledon also. The cotyledons, here also we can see very well after opening of the seed. Now, on carefully separating the two cotyledons, the tiny embryo, this is the tiny embryo, can easily be seen attached to one of the cotyledons. Embryo has got two parts, one is radicle, another is plumule. In this diagram we can see the radicle and the plumule. Radicle forms the root in future and plumule forms the shoot or the stem in future. Right. Now we'll come to the next seed, that is maize grain rather. It is actually a fruit in which the fruit wall and the seed coat are fused together to form a protective layer. So we call such a fruit as grain. So that means it's not actually a seed, it's a fruit, and we call it as a grain. On one side of the grain occurs a small light colored oval area which marks the location of the embryo inside. The remaining major part of the grain contains a large endosperm which is rich in starch. The endosperm and the embryonic part are separated from each other by a thin epithelial layer. The outermost layer of the endosperm is rich in protein and is called alveolon layer. Now please come to the diagram. This is the diagram. We can see the depressions which is actually giving us the location of radicle and plumule over here, and the yellowish portion is the endosperm, and there is an impression which is known as scutellum. Right. Now in this diagram we can see the alveolon layer which we have talked about just now. This is the outermost layer of the endosperm which is rich in protein. Okay. And also we can see that the endosperm and the embryonic part are separated from each other by a thin epithelial layer. Can you see the thin epithelial layer? Okay. The embryo consists of a single cotyledon which we call as scutellum. Here also we can see the scutellum very nicely, a radicle and a plumule. The radicle is towards the pointed end and is enclosed in a protective sheath called coleorhiza, and the plumule is towards the upper broader side of the embryonic region and is having another protective sheath, coleoptile. Okay, so these are the basic structure which you have to mention when you are explaining the maize grain structure. We have to talk about the alveolon layer, about the epithelium, about the scutellum, radicle, plumule, about the protective sheaths, coleoptile and coleorhiza. And as you can see from the diagram, plumule, radicle, coleorhiza, coleoptile, this part is the embryo. This part is the embryo. Clear? Students, please go through these differences between bean seed and maize grain. Okay, any 5 to 6 points. Actually 5 points, but if you don't remember a single point, then you lose marks. So I always prefer that you go through 6 points, very small points, and learn it properly, because we must know the major differences between a bean seed and maize grain, and we all know that the basic difference is between the number of cotyledons. Okay, so please go through it. And if there are any problems arising while you are going through the textbook, you can come up in the comment box. I always suggest it. Please go through the textbook properly. Thank you.